Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kristin, and I'm here to take over the Sarah Selecki Writing School Instagram account today. I'm a teacher with the Story Intensive, and I was also a student. And so I'm really excited to be here to talk about all things Story Intensive, talk about writing with you, and have some fun. My connection to the Story Intensive and the program in general runs really deep and goes back really far. Back in 2012, early 2012, I was about a year out of an MFA program and I wasn't writing. And I was frustrated by that because I thought, I've done an MFA program, I should be writing all the time, but I wasn't writing at all. And then one night I saw an ad for the story course, which back then was called Story is a State of Mind. And the way Sarah described it just spoke to my heart, and I knew I needed to do it. But I was held back by some self-doubt and fear of committing to something else. I thought, I've done an MFA program, I should be all set, but I wasn't. So I didn't sign up right away, but I did sign up over the summer when I saw a live intensive version of the course being offered. And I thought, now is the perfect time to do it. It's the summer and I just can't put this off anymore. This program sounds perfect. So I signed up and I did it, and it changed everything. It was really transformative, and I'll talk a little bit more about how in a minute. So back in 2012, when I took the intensive for the first time as a student, I remember thinking, this is a really robust course for a writing program that's digital. Now, I had just come, like I said, from a traditional MFA program. It was low residency, and so every month I was mailing manila envelopes of my writing to my advisors and receiving in the mail their feedback in return. So it was kind of fascinating to see that a writing program could be online and could rival an MFA program. It's certainly different than an MFA, but my experience as a student who had just done an MFA program was to be kind of astounded at what was possible digitally. Of course, the program has evolved over the years, and it's been really interesting and cool for me to see it go from that first iteration to what it is now, which is incredible. At its core and heart, it is still the same, but there are so many more elements to it now. And I think if 2012 me was seeing this intensive, my mind would totally be blown. As a teacher, one of the coolest experiences for me is to create this container in our group where my students know they can go and do their work and try new things, experiment, surprise themselves, and then come back and have really interesting conversations, ask questions, share their work, and know that it will be received kindly, which I think is a really special part of this program. One of my biggest insights when I was a student of the program, and that I still carry with me now, is that the well never runs dry. I absolutely came to the Story Intensive myself as a student thinking I had run out of ideas. I didn't have any more good ones. I'd used them all up, and I didn't know how to find new ideas. I didn't know at that point how they came to me or what some good tactics were for generating new material and new ideas. So that's something that has stayed with me now, and it's a skill and an insight that I totally credit the Story Intensive for. And on a similar note, in 2014, I remember again having a dry spell with writing and deciding to do the story course, which the Story Intensive is based on, of course. I decided to do it myself and use it as a way back into my writing, and I've done that numerous times. It's an incredible resource for those moments, but while I was doing it, I accidentally started writing a novel that I then spent 4 years working on. It was my first novel. It was unplanned and unexpected, but it was another reminder that the well never runs dry. And in fact, ideas can come anytime, and they can often surprise you and be bigger than you expect. And I would not have found my way into novel writing at that time if I wasn't doing the course. One major way that the Story Intensive changed my writing process, besides shifting the mindset I had around ideas and understanding that, like I said, the well never runs dry, was around process, specifically with allowing whatever came up in the writing process to just come up. And it was revolutionary. I had never had a writing course before teach me that you could just allow images to arise and words to arise, and you could follow them without judging them, without trying to get 10 steps ahead of yourself and figure out where they were going, that you could just follow them and see where it went, and that you could sort of release the need for control. That has changed everything for my writing, just knowing I don't have to control it completely. The community is such a special one. If you have not done the Story Intensive before and you're doing it this year, you're in for such a treat. The way that Sarah groups students together is pure magic, I'm convinced. I've always seen the exact right cohort come together in the classes that I've taught. People who are similar enough and different enough to understand each other and bring different perspectives, different points of view, different styles of writing. There's a shared energy. There's so much support. And I don't know how she does it, but Sarah does an incredible job matching people in the community. For me, something that was really unexpected that came out of the Story Intensive for me back then, that I still have today, is my writing group. And when the Story Intensive that I was in ended, I thought, I really love this community and I really want to keep a connection with other writers in this community. But it's online, how can we do this? And so I, was introduced to a handful of other students of the program, and we formed a group. We started meeting every couple of weeks. We were workshopping our stories pretty regularly for years. And now we are really good friends. We've gotten together a few times in person, I'm in the US and they're in Canada. So it's, we made it work. We really wanted to see each other that badly, and we did it. Who would I say the Story Intensive is for? I would say it's for you if you feel ready to dedicate time to writing. If you feel like you're ready to learn, if you're ready to have a community around writing, if you're ready to really put in time to nurture the relationship with your creativity and your writing, this is definitely for you. I would also say, though, you have to be ready to make time for it. You'll get out of it what you put into it, and it's not a small, course. It's definitely robust. It has a lot of depth to it. It'll ask a lot of you, but if you'll get what you put into it. And I've seen so many writers have incredible growth through the Story Intensive because they've put in the time and the effort. I also think it's for anyone who might be considering like a more formal program like an MFA. If anything has held you back, maybe plans have changed after, the pandemic and the year we've had last year, this is a great option as well. It's different from an MFA program, of course. They're structured differently. There's a degree that you get at the end of an MFA program. But for yourself and your writing, I do believe that this program certainly can rival and hold a flame to an MFA. And I also think it's great for people who want to just deepen their writing life, who want to sit with their work and see what else is possible for them, see where their potential is, see what other ways they can surprise themselves as a writer. I also think the Story Intensive is great for a variety of genres and types of writers. So while the focus of the readings tends to be on short fiction, and a lot of the prompts will kind of guide you towards like short stories, you certainly can come to the course if you're a memoirist or a short story writer, or if you are a new writer. It's a great program for, I think, beginners and more experienced writers alike. And I have been on both sides of it. I've, done it when I was still a baby writer, and it was kind of mind-blowingly revolutionary to me at that point. And also now I'm, at least a decade into my writing life and still getting something from it every time. And I think I get something from it because it's timeless. There are lessons that we always need to be reminding ourselves about. There are always insights that can be refreshed in our memory. And as we grow as people and as writers, certain things will just land differently over time. So something you might read at one point in your writing life, maybe months or years later, you look at it again and it just strikes a different chord and gives you a different aha moment. So I certainly think you can come to this, and I've seen writers who are more feeling like beginners and who have been writing for much longer. Also, I've seen students who used to write and then took a long time off and are now getting back to writing. So wherever you are, you'll be okay. You'll be welcome and you'll do great. And one final thought on coming to the story intensive, however you write, whether you prefer short fiction, longer fiction, nonfiction, memoir. I came to the story intensive initially as a short fiction writer primarily. I knew I wanted to someday try writing novels, and I wasn't sure how to get there. So I settled in and worked on short stories multiple times over during the intensive and then doing the story course on my own. And then, like I said earlier, when I was least expecting it, the story course, one of the exercises introduced me to a novel. And then I had an idea for a novel. And now I feel like I'm primarily a novelist. So it can shift and change things for you in ways that you might not expect. And the gift and the magic is in just being open to what comes up and what happens and trusting. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for joining today as I took over these stories here on the Sarah Selecki Writing School Instagram. Don't forget to go check out my in-feed posts and leave some comments. Share your thoughts over there. And don't forget to join us on Friday. We'll be going live here on Instagram and with Sarah, and it's going to be so much fun. So hopefully we'll see you there. And thank you again for joining me today. And hopefully if you are doing the story intensive this year, I'll see you then.